Welcome back to the Unconventional Coach Podcast. You are joining me for episode 51, and we are going to be talking about reverse dieting. Now, I really wanted to talk about the menstrual cycle, but you guys wanted reverse dieting, and I think I figured out the reason why. And I think that's because a lot of the time you see on social media people talking about, or girls, I should talk about more specifically, talking about their reverse dieting. You see a lot of coaches talking about reverse dieting their clients and how their clients basically eat more and look better, okay? Or like I say, people call it a lot of different things, okay? There's reverse dieting, which I'll go on to sort of in a minute. But basically, what you are doing when you are reverse dieting is you are doing the opposite of dieting, which is increasing calories. And sometimes people will use the term reverse dieting, or other times people will use the term bulking, and I really want to avoid using these terms. I don't even really like the term reverse dieting because for a lot of people it can give kind of like a mixed message, and the issue is all this kind of I've used this word before. I always say like this sex appeal around certain things, like reverse dieting. It's got this sex appeal of being this amazing thing, which it is, but this amazing thing that is guaranteed to get you results. And then I think people think, oh, I need to reverse diet because I'm not seeing the results I want, and necessarily that's not always the case. Okay, so we're going to go into that in this episode. So firstly, what is reverse dieting? So like I've said, reverse dieting is doing the complete reverse of dieting. So instead of decreasing calories, you will be increasing calories. Okay, so again, you can call this bulking, reverse dieting, whatever. I just like saying to my clients that we're going through a calorie increase phase. So I avoid using the term bulking because, again, I think a lot of people have this misconception of what bulking involves, and especially if it's someone who perhaps needs to increase calories but can't because of a eating disorder like anorexia or previous anorexic tendencies, or just someone having an issue with increasing calories. You know what I mean? They might not necessarily be anorexic or have an eating disorder, but they likely do have disordered eating if they are if they're sort of just worried about increasing calories, the increase in body fat, if they're afraid of increasing calories. So if you have someone who is just afraid of increasing calories, or fear of becoming fat, quote unquote fat, or gaining weight, seeing the scales go up, using the term bulking is probably not going to be good for them. It's probably going to make them feel fucking terrified. So I don't like using the term bulking. I just say we're going through a calorie increasing phase. Okay, so calorie increasing phases or reverse dieting can be super beneficial, not just physically but psychologically as well. So for me, when I did my first kind of bulk, so again, I'll kind of go like a briefing of like my kind of history. So I suffered with binge eating disorder for probably about 16, 17, 18, 19, probably about 3 years. And towards the end, I actually decided I went to the doctors to get a blood test because I decided that I was going to compete, because I just wasn't where I wanted to be. Like, I basically wanted to look like I was competing, but all year round. So completely unachievable goals I had. I was barely eating but binging on the weekends and consuming fuck knows how many calories. So I decided, right, I'm going to compete because this is the only way I'm going to get the body I want, which is I was looking into competing probably around it'd probably be like 5 years ago now, when it was becoming like really trendy. Remember, everyone started competing and they started having their Instagram profile pictures, and I was like, oh, you know what, would be a good Instagram profile picture as well, it will help my business and all that bullshit. Okay, so completely for the wrong reasons. So I went to the doctors, got the blood test, and they called me up maybe a week later or something, and said, basically, he just said, oh, you've got PCOS. And I was like, well, what's this? Long story short, PCOS, it can give you issues with fertility and so on. So for me, that really struck a nerve because I'd always wanted to have children. And I was like, right, I need to sort my shit out. I need to sort my health out. And I was like, right, I need to bulk because I had a really bad relationship with food. I had a really bad relationship with myself, and I thought I just need a break from dieting. I need to get my body and my mind in a good place for my future and for my, not just my like near future, but like my future like as a mum and so on. So I did like a bulking phase, and just absolutely, and I was calling it bulking at this point. And as well, back then, like at this point, I wasn't even really sort of thinking about like calories. I didn't really take into consideration how important calories were, and how they were literally the be all and end all. So at this point, I was kind of thinking, oh, my metabolism is probably like a bit broken and so on. And we'll talk about that a little bit in this podcast as well, because that's quite relevant to like why you would increase calories. But I went through my whole calorie increasing phase, gained quite a lot of muscle, but not only that, I gained a lot of strength. I was enjoying my training. I had more energy. My periods became more regular, and I just felt good. Like I felt really good. And I think people forget that when you are in a calorie deficit, your body is working with less than optimal calories. So that's not to say that, oh, being in a calorie deficit is a bad thing. It's not, especially if you're obese. Like you need to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. But obviously your body is working on its storage, on its stores, so you have less than sufficient energy going in. So what that means is your recovery is going to be less efficient. You'll be impacted sort of mentally with your mood and so on. So when I was increasing calories and eating enough, God, you feel completely different. You have so much energy and you just feel great. And physically, like I say, you're going to recover better. You're going to probably have better sleep, better training. With better training, you're going to increase your muscle mass, and it has so many physical benefits, which again I'll sort of go into a little bit more, just to kind of brush it off with like my experience of it. The other benefit of increasing your calories or just coming away from dieting, especially as a female, and I talk about this a lot with my clients, like you've been dieting your whole life, whether or not you've done it successfully, whether that meant that you've lost weight, and then gained it all back or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Most of us women, and a lot of men as well, have been dieting for a vast majority of our life. Like I remember even like being a kid, and my nan would have like little Weight Watchers ice creams and like Snacker Jacks, and I was like, oh, I'll eat these because these will make me look good. And I remember thinking that at like 12 years old. And then from when I was like 14, like sort of my last couple years at school, I was kind of like dabbling around with like dieting as such. And then it was when I was 16, I was like dieting, like just drinking protein shakes and Juice Plus and shit like that. So to have an actual mental break from saying, oh, I'm trying to get skinny, I'm trying to lose weight, to just enjoying my training was just amazing for my mental health. Like I can't tell you how important it is to not constantly wrap your self-worth and your energy into how you look, but how you feel. And that's where a lot of the time the biggest changes come in with clients. Is not only do we obviously, and that's not saying that, oh, it's all inside you, because it's not. You could be in a body that you're not happy with for good reason. If you're not taking care of your body, then you're probably not going to feel happy in it. So that's not me saying, oh, just love yourself no matter what, because, or I always think you should accept yourself. Do you know what I mean? Self-acceptance. So accepting where you are, and then saying if you want to be different. And if you do want to be different, then brilliant. Like if you're a size 20 or whatever and love your body, love yourself, fucking power to you. Happy for you, do you know what I mean? But if you are a size 20 and you're not happy, then guess what? It's your responsibility to do something about it. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to change. There's nothing wrong with wanting to change, and there's nothing wrong with not wanting to change, is what I'm basically trying to say. So I kind of went off topic then. But if you are someone who wants to change, it's your responsibility to do that, okay? But back to the sort of reverse dieting, the psychological break it gives you to just say, I'm not trying to get smaller, I'm not really bothered about how I look, it's just about how I feel. And when you feel better, like even when you start eating better, if you're someone who's like maybe you've started with a coach, or you've just started implementing things, like maybe you're watching your portion sizes and you're training, and you'll be maybe a week or two in, and you'll just feel really good that although you haven't made any like physical progress yet, like you haven't maybe lost any weight on the scales, or maybe you haven't dropped a whole dress size yet, but because you have been sleeping well and eating better, you're just feeling better for it. Sorry if you're watching on YouTube, I'm currently trying to put my hair up because it's really annoying me. Oh my god, that did not... Oh, I hate... Oh my god, I hate this camera. I hate recording myself from the front because it just shows me the opposite way around, and I cannot figure out for the life of me. Okay, right, we're going to do with this. Sorry, I felt like I was getting really distracted because my hair was annoying me. Anywho, so, right, back to reverse dieting. So, let's put it into context of like someone being in a reverse diet when they are being coached, okay? So I have clients that I put through calorie increasing phases, and a lot of the time it is because we are seeking a specific result. So if I have clients that are relatively slim but they kind of want some more muscle, then again, decreasing calories and putting yourself in a deficit when you're trying to gain muscle is not... It's not optimal, okay? You can 100% gain muscle in a calorie deficit, absolutely, but it is not the most optimal way to gain muscle. And if you are someone who is slim but has body fat, because I think people forget we all have body fat. So a lot of the time people will think, oh, but I need to diet because I still have skin that I can grab. It's like, well, yeah, everyone does, okay? So reverse dieting, calorie increasing phases should be a part of your journey, okay? They will always be involved. I always say to my clients, there will be a time in your journey when you are in a calorie deficit, a calorie surplus, and a calorie maintenance, okay? So it's really hard to like put it into context because it's so individual, but here's a few scenarios as to when you would want to be in a calorie surplus rather than a calorie deficit, okay? So number one, if you are someone who has dieted for a very long time and you're not getting the progress that you actually want, what that probably means is, no, your metabolism is not broken. What it probably means is you are dieting Monday to Friday maybe, but then the weekend rolls around and you're like, oh, I'm so exhausted from dieting for 6 months. Every weekend is your break time, okay? And that's again not necessarily a bad thing, but if it's taking you out of your calorie deficit, then guess what? You're not going to see the results you want, okay? So if you are someone who is trying to diet but still feel you're not making the progress you want, it might be time that you shift your focus to just getting in a good routine with your training, building a good relationship with food where you are not relying on food as like your comfort, where you are able to just enjoy food in moderation and practice practice that self-control to be in a place where, because a lot of the time people will either be on a diet or they're just in fuck it mode. So trying to find that balance as well is really important. And if you can't figure out that balance, again, that might be a good sign to say, right, well, maybe it's time you take a break from dieting. If you are someone who has dieted and got to a good place, brilliant. If you are someone who is really adopted like the whole fitness thing, everyone who's into fitness will go through these phases as well, and they probably don't plan them as much as other people. Like me, for example, I don't really plan like bulking phases or dieting phases or so on, just because I have no like immediate goals. I'm someone where this is my life, do you know what I mean? I enjoy training, I enjoy eating, so I don't really feel like I need to have specific phases, but there will come times when I do. Like right now I am in a dieting phase, and at the end of that dieting phase I probably will do a bit of a calorie surplus, like more of a controlled calorie surplus, so I can get the benefits from it and just focus on gaining muscle and prioritising my training for that amount of time. So if you are struggling with your results, you're not getting the results you want while seeking a diet, maybe you need to just take a break from dieting altogether, so you can actually see where you were going wrong as well. See, right, well actually I wasn't sticking to my calories. I was just so tired of dieting, I didn't actually want to. Another reason would be if you don't actually have any dieting goals. Like I think as women we're told that we should be seeking to be smaller or look leaner, when actually maybe your goal is just to gain muscle and get fucking strong. And if that's the case, then again, being in a calorie deficit is probably not going to be the most optimal way to do it. So just go through that phase of increasing calories, whether that be 8 weeks, whether that be 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months, whatever. It completely depends on the individual. I have some ladies going through gaining phases at the moment. A couple of them have been doing it for 8 weeks. I have another lady, she's been doing it for 6 months. Another one's been doing it for 8 months. So it really does depend on the individual and what your goals are and what you're looking to get out of this reverse dieting phase. If you're looking for a mental break, then something in the line of 4 to 8 weeks is probably going to be enough. If you are someone who is looking to gain some solid muscle, solid strength, you're probably going to want more anywhere between 12 weeks and 6 months to prioritize that and focus on that, okay? And it doesn't have to be confusing. Like I feel like a lot of you would be expecting to hear some really complex things of, oh, you need to increase your calories by this much first, and then you do it in this, and you don't want to gain too much body fat, and la la la. And we can go into the technical stuff, but it's so individual. But to help along with that and to sort of complement everything I've said, say I've got someone, we've finished dieting, she's lost quite a lot of body fat, she's still got body fat on her, of course, because we all do, but if you have more muscle, and this is another benefit of increasing calories, okay? When you increase calories, you gain muscle. The more muscle you have, the more calories you will burn at rest. So one of the main reasons we would implement a calorie increasing phase is to gain muscle, gain strength, in order to then, when we diet again, we've got more muscle there, more shape and more quote unquote tone. Because when people say I want to look toned, what they mean is they want a bit more muscle and a little less body fat to look more defined. And that's exactly what we do. But in order to do that, you need to have some muscle under there. So if you are someone who is, again, lean or slim but don't have a lot of muscle, then you need to gain some muscle, girl. You need to get in the gym, eat some calories and do that. But let's say we've done a dieting phase with a client for 12 weeks. She has dropped body fat, she's feeling good, but she doesn't have quite a lot of muscle mass. Then what we would do is set out a initial anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks of increasing calories. And it's, again, I can't give a specific amount because every client and every one of you listening is so different, and it's completely based on the individual and the progress they see. I've had some ladies where we've literally increased their calories for 8 weeks and they've gained a lot of muscle. Equally, I have some ladies that we've been gaining for 6 months, eating 3,000 plus calories, and they haven't gained as much muscle mass as that client who needed 8 weeks. Okay, so the most important thing when you are increasing calories is to do it strategically. What you don't want to do is just say, oh, I'm bulking now, which is what a lot of people do, is they go, oh, I'm bulking now, so I'm just going to eat whatever the fuck I want, and then 4 weeks down the line, you've gained 5 kilos. That won't all be body fat, but you've gained 5 kilos and you're not feeling too good. So when we are strategic, we are going to be doing it in increments. So initially, we might start with a 1 to 200 calorie increase, and then we check in, of course, and that's the most important thing. If you are going to be doing a reverse dieting, calorie increasing phase, it's important that you check in with yourself to see the physical progress you're making, but also to check in and ask yourself, how do I feel? Because reverse dieting for a lot of people can be really challenging. Like I say, you're going against sort of everything you've been told in the past about wanting to be slimmer, wanting to be smaller, and you're doing the complete opposite, and you're eating more, you're gaining muscle, you will gain some scale weight, of course, but it won't all be body fat. A lot of that initially will be increasing glycogen, where you're having more carbohydrates and where you've just got more food in your body. So it's important to really, I think, have someone there to support you. It is a complex thing if it's not done, like I say, strategically, or if you are someone who is, you need to go through a calorie increasing phase, but you're just scared to, then it's probably best you just opt in to work with someone so they can support you through it and they can educate you. But if you are doing it on your own, just check in with yourself. How am I feeling? Do I feel like I've gained a bit too much body fat that I'm comfortable? And if that's the case, then slow down. If you've been increasing your calories by 100 every week for 4 weeks and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm doing it a bit too quick, then do it 100 every 2 weeks. Okay, listen to your body, look at yourself, look at everything. Don't just look at the weight, because again, that will go up. Don't just look at that. Take progress pictures so you can see the changes your body's making, and take a mental audit of yourself. So, how do I feel? Am I enjoying this? Am I getting stronger? Do I feel better in the gym? Am I sleeping better? Do I have a better relationship with food? And ask yourself all of these variables when it comes to changing what you are doing. And like anything, it's important that you give it time and you understand the bigger picture, because the likelihood is, if you are increasing calories, you will get to a point where you do feel a bit uncomfortable, and it's like, right, okay, well, do I diet from here or do I continue? And there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. It's all contextual. It's all about you, and it's all about what your long-term game is and what you want to focus on. And I think the most part, what a lot of people learn when they do go through these phases of increasing calories, is it's so nice to just have that break from dieting, and there is actually a lot more to life than just dieting. There is socializing and enjoying that, because you don't have to worry about necessarily fitting your calories in, or losing weight for that weekend or whatever. So going through phases of increasing calories is just so beneficial for your physical progress, but also your mental health. And again, like I say, there's telltale signs to know that if you should be increasing calories. If you want to get stronger, want to gain muscle, guess what? You're probably going to have to increase calories. If you've been dieting for a long time and still don't feel you are where you want to be, maybe you need to take a break altogether from being in a calorie deficit, decreasing calories, seeking fat loss, and actually seek performance. Like, seek performance in the gym, seek getting stronger, seek feeling better and feeling good in yourself. And again, what these phases of increasing calories does is it gives you more calories to play with when you diet again. So we're kind of like going 2 steps forward and then like 1 step back and then 5 steps forward and then 1 step back, or so on. So it's going to be constantly this scale of moving up and down, and seeing your body change with the different phases. And I think one of the most amazing things is when ladies do reverse diet or they do increase their calories, is they realise how much more they can actually eat. And what I always talk to my clients about is energy in and energy out. So think about it this way: if you are dieting and you've been dieting for quite a while, when you are obviously in a calorie deficit, you have less energy going in than you have going out. So you can find that sort of balance. So to give you an example, let's say you're eating 500 calories a day and you do 5,000 steps a day and you don't exercise because you're so fucking tired from eating 0 calories. How is that beneficial? Versus if you're someone who's eating 1,500 calories a day, you do 10,000 steps a day, and you also train 4 times a week. So can you see how less is not always more? Less calories in that situation means that you're going to be sacrificing training and you're sacrificing NEAT through steps because you don't have enough energy going in. So it's not just about less. Sometimes having more calories actually means you can give more to your training, you have more energy, you're sleeping better, recovery's better. And a lot of my clients actually get noticeably leaner, and that is because they are giving their body enough. They're giving their body enough calories to gain some muscle. Their muscles, again, remember, are going to be full of glycogen, so they're going to look more present there as well. So all round, it's just something that I would highly recommend everyone doing at some point or other in their journey. It's silly to be afraid of increasing calories or going through phases where you're not necessarily in a deficit, because that's life. Christmas, for example, who's in a fucking calorie deficit at Christmas? Let's be honest, use that time to focus on your training, eat more and enjoy yourself. And again, it's all contextual, and I feel like people listening to this would have wanted like a specific answer of you need to increase your calories by this much this time, but it's I can't give you that, because it's all contextual. It's all about you. It's all about your goals, your time frame, and figuring out what you actually want. And if you don't know, then again, it's probably best you seek help. You seek help from someone that can actually guide you through it and support you. Again, like I say, going through phases of calorie increasing can be really mentally challenging, because you're going against everything you've kind of been told and everything you've thought. But it really is amazing. Like, I've got some amazing ladies right now going through calorie increasing phases, and I've got some on my Instagram, so if you want to have a look at their stories, obviously seeing individual stories is really good, because you can kind of see a bit more of the context behind it, whereas in this obviously podcast I've been a bit more sort of general of just the benefits and why you would do it. I can't, like I say, give you the exact, oh, you should do it for X amount of time. It completely depends on you. But there's definitely a time and a place for it in everyone's journey, like I think. So I would refrain from using the phases: reverse dieting, bulking. You're just going through a calorie increasing phase. You're switching your priorities from dieting to fueling your body, pushing yourself in your training, and just getting stronger and better within that. So that is reverse dieting. I should have took a poll actually with some questions for it, so I do apologise for that, but maybe I'll do one on my story off the back end of this podcast. But everyone who listened or watched on YouTube, again, if you watched on YouTube, sorry for all my faffing with my hair. I'm feeling a bit tender right now, so excuse that. But thank you for listening, everyone, and I will catch you in the next podcast.